This is my manager, Ela. Ela, how are we doing this month? What is our sales?
26, 28, 30,000 maybe?
Have you paid the staff their salaries?
Here you go. I'm so sorry for the delay.
Are there any supplies we need to order?
Let me check. Hold on a second. Hi. Oh, so sorry. Cash only.
Do we need a credit or debit card machine?
Yes, please.
Alright, maybe we do need a few tools to help us manage things better. So we did a bit of research and found that when you open an RHB Business Current Account and sign up for RHB Reflex, you have access to 6 amazing solutions. The Human Resource Management System will help you manage your staffing and payroll, track your daily performance and inventory levels with a cloud-based ePOS system, and accept both debit and credit card payments with a merchant terminal. You also have the option of getting a business credit card and customized business insurance to make sure everything's protected. We are also the first bank in Malaysia to integrate cloud-based accounting software with your online banking system for seamless connectivity. Now, with lesser steps in making payments, RHB Reflex reconciliates all your transactions to the accounting software daily, so you can access all the information you need in one place. Take your business further with RHB SME eSolutions.
Introducing IMSME by CGC for SMEs. Log on to imsme.com.my, then follow 4 easy steps. First, share your financing requirements. Second, describe your business. Third, log in. Lastly, choose the best product for you. Within 2 days, you'll get a call from your preferred financier. It's that easy.
We have what it takes to go global. With a diverse range of sectors, take you there. Take a step towards being export ready. Get equipped with the information and skills you'll need. We'll match you with buyers worldwide and help you build connections for you to be a global champion, offering world-class products and services. Ready to set the standards and go further. trade matters. The world awaits you. The time to export is now.
Good morning, selamat pagi, kalai vanakkam, ciao an. I'm Corinne from Star Media Group's Event Business Unit and I will be your host for today. Welcome to the digital launch of Star Outstanding Business Awards 2020. Distinguished sponsors, partners, ladies and gentlemen, we are into our 11th year and the Star Outstanding Business Awards, renowned as SOBA, is now a household name among many up-and-coming as well as established Malaysian companies. The Star again prepares itself to bring forth an even more reputable award than before, to recognize outstanding local enterprises and their contributions to the growth of the people and the progress of the nation. To proceed with the launch, it is my honor to call upon Ms. Lydia Wang, Chief Business Officer of Star Media Group, to give her welcome remarks.
Good morning. We have many distinguished guests with us here today. Let me acknowledge a few. SOBA's main sponsors, DG, PKT Logistics, RHB Bank, co-sponsor, Credit Guarantee Corporation, CGC, endorsement body, Ministry of International Trade and Industry, MITI, official trade promotion partner, MARTRADE, supporting partner, Bursa Malaysia, auditor, BDO, our strategic partners, Associated Chinese Chambers of Commerce and Industry of Malaysia, Agency Inovasi Malaysia, Branding Association of Malaysia, the Federation of Malaysia Chinese Commerce Association, Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers, Malaysia Retail Chain Association, Malaysian Associated Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Malaysia Entrepreneurs Development Association, SME Association of Malaysia, JCI Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur Malay Chamber of Commerce, Outstanding Entrepreneurs School for Entrepreneurs, BCom, the National Tech Association of Malaysia, Malaysian Digital Association, ASEAN Retail Chains and Franchise Federation, and honourable guests of Star Outstanding Business Awards, in short, SOBA. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to the digital launch of the 11th Star Outstanding Business Awards. Ladies and gentlemen, as we gingerly start the recovery movement control order phase, most sectors are up and running again. Companies are required to adapt to the new norm to regain the momentum they had prior to the pandemic, thus setting the foundation for longer-term, productivity-driven growth, resilience, and competitiveness. We would like to reassure you, as one of the leading media companies in Malaysia, we are resilient and have evolved and adapted to the changing business landscape. We are here for you to channel your worries and concerns. We are here to ensure your voices and efforts are heard. On this note, we are proud to launch SOBA, a collective effort by Star Media Group to recognize homegrown enterprises and their contributions to the Malaysian economy. The launch of SOBA serves as a platform to cultivate and showcase the creme de la creme of Malaysian SMEs. The award, running for its 11th consecutive year, inspires and encourages local businesses as well as highlights the impact of SMEs in our country's economic growth. At its core, SOBA recognizes the important role local businesses play towards building our nation. In addition to the existing award categories, we are introducing two new categories. Firstly, Best in Customer Service, which will recognize companies providing exemplary services to their clients. In a world where many things have become parity, the quality of customer service can be a deal maker or deal breaker for customers. Secondly, Best in Retail Award will put a spotlight on innovative, creative, and top-class retailers across the country. We want to spotlight those that have managed to carve a space for themselves through demonstrations of out-of-the-box and innovative thinking, resilience, and tenacity. This year, SOBA Lab, an acronym for Learn, Aspire, Build, will be managed via a series of webinars addressing invaluable business insights on how to elevate business adversities stemming from COVID-19. Keeping pace with the current times and trends, SOBA has progressed to introduce online submission in addition to a manual submission. This effort bodes well during this pandemic and for businesses which are out of Klang Valley. The Star Outstanding Business Awards continues to recognize and reward companies for their outstanding efforts and achievements and help them become market leaders. It is in times of crisis that heroes are born. We urge our winners to take charge and go for greater heights. To the rest, we continue with our efforts to support you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this year we are delighted to welcome DG, BKT Logistics and RHB Bank as our returning main sponsors and CGC as returning co-sponsor. Thank you, and we are very excited to have all the heavyweights on board with us. We hope that this great working partnership will continue for many years to come. A big thank you also to Ministry of International Trade and Industry and its endorsement body, official trade promotion partner Martrade, supporting partner Bursa Malaysia, auditor BDO. We are grateful for your expert advice, guidance and support throughout the awards process. And not forgetting our strategic partners and media partners from various business organizations and associations. We thank you for your time and commitment in building a knowledgeable workforce, a responsible community, and a progressive society. To everyone watching, thank you for working closely with us to instill a culture of excellence in our industries, supporting its growth and development of emerging local businesses to drive towards a better Malaysia. Have a pleasant day ahead. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you, Ms. Lydia Wang, for the welcome remarks. To proceed with the launch, it is now my honor to call upon Dr. Wan Latif Wan Musa, CEO of Martrade, to give his opening remarks.
Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera, SOBA's sponsors and supporting partners, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, congratulations to the STAR for the continuous effort in organizing the STAR Outstanding Business Awards, or SOBA, for the 11th consecutive year. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the STAR and other strategic partners for organizing the digital launch of the Star Outstanding Business Award SOBA 2020, and Martrade is proud to be the official trade promotion partner since 2016. Small and medium enterprises, or SMEs, are undeniably the key driver of Malaysia's economic growth. In 2018, SMEs accounted for 98.5% of business establishments, contributing 38.3% to GDP, 66% to total employment, and 17.3% to Malaysia's exports. Various initiatives have been introduced by the government to ensure that SMEs continue to grow in tandem with the national economic development. However, as we all know, the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic has caused unprecedented impact on global economy including Malaysia. The COVID-19 pandemic has led to the imposition of Movement Control Order or MCO in the country in order to contain the spread of the deadly virus. In this instance, business operations have been disrupted, and SMEs are the most vulnerable segment of businesses given their low level of preparedness in many aspects. In terms of trade, COVID-19 has caused major disruptions in world trade. World Trade Organization or WTO projected that global trade would fall between 13% and 32% this year. As an open economy where trade is about 121% of the GDP in 2019, Malaysia is equally vulnerable to this pandemic. The government has to make tough decisions in balancing the need to save lives while at the same time ensuring the livelihoods of the population. COVID-19 has obviously impacted our trade. For the first time in 269 months since November 1997, Malaysia has recorded a trade deficit in April, having recorded an export decline of 23.8%. Global supply chains were disrupted as countries around the world imposed either full or partial lockdowns to control the spread of COVID-19. Meanwhile, based on the survey by the Department of Statistics Malaysia, from MCO Phase 2 to Phase 4, 67.8% of respondents stated that no sales or revenue were generated during MCO. 53.4% indicated that they were able to survive for only 1 to 2 months, while 68.9% used savings as their main source to accommodate operating costs and working capital during MCO. Ladies and gentlemen, while COVID-19 has impacted negatively on the operations of SMEs, we should not be overly pessimistic of the future business potentials. Based on Matrix's survey among SMEs, 38% indicated that the buyers will continue to import from them, while 25% of SMEs indicated that they could revive their exports in less than a year. Taking this as a cue and leveraging on the potential improvements following the recently announced Penjana package, Matrix would like to urge SMEs to start looking at export again as a potential source of revenue generation. We also need to take proactive measures to benefit from the gradual opening of economies in our key markets such as ASEAN and East Asia. COVID-19 has changed the way business is conducted worldwide. Adoption of digital technology in business operations has become a new normal as businesses engage with each other while being restricted from physical travel. Recognizing these new norms, Matrix has also adopted digital technology in delivering its services to exporters. Various buyers and engagements have been conducted to ensure that Malaysian companies continue to have access to international buyers even during travel restriction period. Virtual trade shows, business pitching, business-to-business or B2B meetings and webinars have become alternatives to the physical events. Last week, Matrix announced on the new guidelines of Market Development Grant or MDG to support virtual business activities. Starting 1st of July, eligible SMEs can claim for certain expenses incurred for their participation in virtual trade events promoting exports, namely virtual international trade exhibitions and virtual trade promotion missions where B2B form part of the programs. According to the Department of Statistics Malaysia, the digital economy contributes 18.2% to Malaysia's GDP in 2018. The survey also shows that 65% of exporters are using online tools to boost their export sales. In relation to this, Matrix is pleased to note that there has been an increase in the number of SMEs applying to participate in our e-trade program following the outbreak of COVID-19. E-trade is a program to promote the adoption of e-commerce among SMEs to accelerate exports through participation in international leading e-marketplaces. Additionally, as one of the new initiatives, Matrade will soon launch a virtual trade clinic, which is a personalized consultation session for Malaysian companies on export-related matters via virtual platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, Matrade is committed to grow exports through its various trade promotion programs as mandated by the government. Matrade's strategy is premised on the objective to increase exports, especially by SMEs. Among them, market diversification remains a focus to provide greater reach for Malaysian products and services. Matrade will play an active role in facilitating a conducive export ecosystem, particularly in the area of expediting export-related processes and approvals much needed by exporters as they move into reviving their exports. I would like to urge all SMEs to engage with Matrade by registering and actively participating in export development and promotion programs. You may visit our website at www.matrade.gov.my to register and find out more information on our programs. Similarly, we would like to encourage SMEs to register with our online information platform called My Export, which provide access to useful information such as trade leads, market intelligence reports, and the latest international business trends. I believe in the present situation, online trade leads are virtual, or rather are vital source of information which might translate into real business. As the Malaysia's export promotion agency, we strive every single day to ensure that Malaysian exporters, especially SMEs, able to penetrate the international market. A platform such as SOBA has enabled Matrade to reach out to SMEs more so in the context of recovering from COVID-19. We believe that our 5th-year collaboration with SOBA since 2016 will allow us to share with Malaysian companies, especially SMEs, on Matrade's facilitation programs and activities that can benefit them in expanding their business globally. With that, once again, I would like to thank The Star for organizing this launching event, and I look forward to working closely with everyone involved, including sponsors and partners, to ensure greater success of the 11th edition of the Star Outstanding Business Awards SOBA 2020. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Wan, for the opening remarks. Now, let us witness the launch of SOBA 2020, proudly brought to you by Star Media Group Berhad.
Over the last 10 years, SOBA has cultivated an elite fraternity of the best-in-class SMEs. More than just a business award, SOBA provides a platform for SMEs to network, learn from the best, and elevate their business to the next level.
Hi SME entrepreneurs, after 2 months of COVID-19 break, it's time for you to reactivate your branding. I have joined the Star Outstanding Business Award after the 2009 World Financial Crisis, and I won the awards in 2011 and 2012. I think it's about time for you to participate in the Star Outstanding Business Award this year and get your brand reactivated. See you at SOBA.
RHB is proud to partner SOBA to ensure SMEs have access to insight and knowledge to help them navigate through these very volatile conditions. At RHB, we believe in continuous development and being agile in order to stay ahead in an ever-changing and competitive business environment. We believe SOBA provides that very platform for businesses to learn, grow and flourish.
CGC is pleased to participate in SOBA for the 6th consecutive years. SOBA plays an important role in recognizing up-and-coming SMEs, acknowledging the achievements and contribution to the Malaysian economy. CGC believes in fulfilling the ambitions of SMEs, and SOBA provides the right platform to inspire them by recognizing their successes.
Masud would like to encourage SMEs to participate in SOBA program, as we found that it provides meaningful information sharing by those who have been successful in export, as well as information sharing by various parties that support SMEs to grow and eventually to go for export.
We are also honoured to have on board with us a host of strategic partners in support of SOBA.
SOBA 2020.
SOBA 2020.
SOBA 2020.
SOBA 2020.
SOBA 2020.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, SOBA 2020 is officially launched. Now, it is my honour to call upon Dr. Jomo Kwame Sundaram, a prominent Malaysian economist, as our guest speaker on the topic, Some Business Challenges in Our Times. We are delighted to have you here with us today. Over to you, Dr. Jomo.
Thank you also to the Star Media Group, particularly the chair, Dato' Fu, for kindly inviting me to join you today. It's a great pleasure to speak on this particular occasion when the SME community, the small and medium enterprises are meeting in very, very challenging and difficult times. Let me try to go over some of the developments which have taken place over the last few months to remind us about what has happened, also paths not taken, options not taken, and some of the consequences of those options not taken. I think it's important for us to remember that when the world became aware that there was a new virus outbreak in Wuhan in China, the response by the Chinese authorities was slightly delayed because the local authorities did not readily acknowledge the existence of a new virus, and this led to some delay and the spread of that virus, particularly in Wuhan and the surrounding provinces, because of the huge number of people who move in and out of Wuhan to work, but who live in the neighboring provinces. So the initial spread of the virus, now known as COVID-19, basically was concentrated in this area. Soon after the Chinese authorities informed the World Health Organization of the new epidemic, the World Health Organization immediately went through a particular protocol, and the Malaysian health authorities, to its credit, announced as early as the 3rd of January. Okay, the 3rd of January announced that it was preparing to deal with the virus epidemic. We should recognize that in this part of the world, we have had a number of virus epidemics over the last 2 or 3 decades, and so we have developed a certain experience and a certain ability to contain viral epidemics. And many of us will remember the Nipah outbreak, but there was, of course, SARS and MERS and a number of other viral outbreaks which affected our part of the world. This particular virus is far more infectious. In other words, many more people are easily infected, partly because it spreads by aerosol droplets. Very little liquid droplets, which are very small and can therefore spread relatively easily. But we should also recognize that compared to SARS, which happened about 17 years ago, it is less lethal. In other words, fewer people who are infected die from COVID-19 infection. Unfortunately, unlike the Northeast Asian countries, and I'm referring not only to China, but of course to South Korea, to Japan, to Taiwan, and also very importantly, very few people acknowledge this, Vietnam, they responded to it very early. Within the month of January itself, all these countries were responding to it. In fact, even Kerala state in southwest India was responding to it, taking a lot of precautionary measures, introducing what the Kerala people call physical distancing, which is to be distinguished from social distancing, and also the introduction of face masks and so on. Now, the early action by these authorities meant that they were largely able to avoid lockdown measures. What are called stay-in-shelter lockdown measures were introduced undoubtedly in Wuhan and the 3 provinces, Hubei and the 2 other provinces around Wuhan. And this was deemed necessary because the epidemic had already spread quite widely. And so we find that lockdown measure was certainly introduced in those 3 provinces, but very importantly, not in the rest of China. And the WHO fact-finding mission actually has commended China for its early response in preventing and containing the outbreak and making sure that it didn't spread to the rest of China, and avoiding the need for lockdown measures in those other provinces, more than 20 provinces in the rest of China. Likewise, we find that in Korea, in Japan, in Taiwan, as well as in Vietnam, there were no nationwide lockdown measures introduced. Lockdown measures were introduced in Vietnam, in particular communes, to try to prevent the spread once infection was confirmed. Now, unfortunately, in Malaysia, as everybody knows, during the end of February and early March, there was a very unexpected political transition, and 3 weeks is a long time as far as the spread of this particular virus is concerned. And this was the period when a number of incidents happened and the virus spread quite rapidly during this period. So by the middle of March, the government, sort of following some of what was happening in the West, introduced a lockdown measures. But a lockdown was not something which all countries have introduced. If you take early action and the precautionary measures are sufficiently effective, you can avoid a lockdown. Now, it is important for us to recognize what actually happened, that you have precautionary measures can be disruptive because of the requirements of physical distancing and so on. And certainly you can have a recession. But the recession which you have from precautionary measures would be very different from the recession due to the lockdown. Now, in Malaysia, it is important for us to recognize that while we tend to focus on the big companies, it is really the small and medium, and also I want to emphasize the so-called micro enterprises, family enterprises, small family enterprises, which are very, very important and which make up the bulk of the economy. The vast majority of the people of Malaysia, working people in Malaysia, work in these medium-sized and small-size and micro enterprises. So it is extremely important for us to recognize that many of the measures undertaken during the MCO and also the CMCO and now under the RMCO have especially adversely affected the micro enterprises. Many of those who are running relatively small stores and so on and so forth have basically been shut down. The fate of small and medium enterprises varies. It depends partly on what the enterprises have been involved with and so on and so forth. Some have been forced to shut down, some have continued to operate, some have been able to operate but only partially and so on and so forth. So there is no one-size-fits-all sort of sweeping generalizations should not be made. It is also important to recognize that as a consequence of the viral epidemic, it is very, very likely that many companies which have been adversely affected have not been able to maintain the kind of liquidity which they need. They have continued to have certain obligations made by past operations and so on and so forth. And now, because of the disruption of about almost 3 months, we find that those obligations often need to be met. But at the same time, there is a cash flow problem, there's an income problem, and so on and so forth. So enterprises, especially smaller enterprises, without cash reserves and so on and so forth, have been especially adversely affected. In addition, there is the fact that the very nature of this epidemic, the very nature of the infectiousness of this virus means that we cannot expect a return to business as usual once we get over this period, however long it might last. And this, I think, is something which we need to come to terms with. There is very little point in trying to save all the existing businesses because hard decisions have to be made. Some businesses, some sectors, and so on and so forth, unfortunately, will not survive. We are going to see, for example, a major decline in the short term and medium term of travel, of hospitality, of public events, whether it's sporting events or entertainment events, and a whole host of activities relating to that. All these activities will be directly affected, and even if a vaccine is quickly developed and becomes available to all in the world, which is not a guaranteed outcome of the discovery of a vaccine because of the various people who are trying to control the development of the vaccine as well as its possible commercialization. So we have a real problem in that what we have to really prepare for the fact that this is likely to last for quite some time. It's not going to be solved in a matter of months. It will probably take many years before the effects of COVID-19 are fully felt. So this basically means that that businesses will have to adjust. They are going to have to make very difficult choices to change their plant and equipment, their premises, and so on and so forth for alternative business purposes. You cannot expect, for example, a high occupancy in the hotel business or in some of the other businesses which we have for quite a long time to come. So these are very difficult teething problems, transition problems, which small and medium enterprises, particularly, and micro enterprises, I want to emphasize, will have to face. So, and there's no one-size-fits-all solution either. The government can play a very important role in making this transition possible, easier. For example, by retraining staff, workers for different types of positions, to produce different types of products, to produce different types of services, and so on and so forth. For example, I think now there will be significant attention to the need for far greater health services, for far greater care services, and far more careful care services. One of the big problems which we found in say, countries like Singapore, as well as in the United States, is that many of the facilities and the running of the operations in old age homes, for example, are very badly affected. There will be a need to have many more masks, for instance, and there will be a need for other what are called personal protective equipment. There is much which has been developed in places like China and Korea and Taiwan and Japan and elsewhere, which we can learn from. We can acquire this technology, we can start producing many of these products, and this, I think, will be extremely important. There are also a number of other opportunities which we really need to begin to think about, which will become extremely important going forward. We also need to recognize that many of the so-called supply chains which have developed in recent years are not going to survive all this. The supply chains there is big pressure coming from the US government on US companies, big pressure coming up from the Japanese government and Japanese companies to pull out of China, for example. And this trend will not stop simply at pulling out of China. Many of our businesses in Malaysia are part of supply chains which are connected with China. But even though a company may not be involved with China, they may also be more inclined now to onshore, what they call onshore. The earlier period, you saw a lot of offshoring of business operations to countries to other countries such as Malaysia and so on. But now you will see a reverse trend, a trend towards onshoring. There are also fears now about, for example, food supply chains. For too long, we have been relying largely on international suppliers for food supplies. We have seen, for example, that except for rice, where there has been a big push for rice self-sufficiency, there has been a neglect, for example, of vegetable production, of other production. But now is the time for us to begin to rethink this and begin to think about supplying much more of the sources of food domestically. But are we going to continue simply to doing it the way that we have been doing it in the past? For example, I think it is not a secret that many people know that much of the food which was being produced in Malaysia used an excessive amount of toxic agrochemicals. And we were only informed about this usually when our vegetables or fruits were rejected by other countries. This should not be the case. We should also be concerned about Malaysians' health. We should be concerned about, for example, the fact that as we depend much more on aquaculture, we should be concerned about the excessive use of antibiotics. It is good for the fish to survive, but the excessive use of antibiotics will have many serious health consequences down the road. So that if you take in too much antibiotics through eating poultry or fish which have been fed too many antibiotics, those antibiotics are going to go into our bodies, and it will mean that when we need antibiotics when we are sick or when we have had surgery, those antibiotics will be less effective. So this is a time for us to begin to think very carefully about food safety issues. Malaysia, as it has developed, is now the #1 country in Asia in terms of obesity, in terms of diabetes, and a number of other health problems. These are not good for Malaysians. So we need to think much more about better nutrition, about ensuring, for example, that half of the population is not anemic, of ensuring, for example, that far more children, babies, infants are breastfed, and so on and so forth. So we need to use this opportunity, as the Chinese word for crisis reminds us, that there is danger, but there's also opportunity, and we should come out of this a much better and healthier society by taking into consideration many of these factors. Yet another area which I think is very promising is the area of renewable energy. Of course, this seems very strange to say when the price of oil is so low, but it is precisely making those decisions now which will enable us to move forward to producing far more renewable energy. Malaysia now produces more photovoltaic solar panels which are exported to the US than any other country in the world, including China. But how many of those photovoltaic solar panels are used in Malaysia? A very small share. Likewise, we have been hearing, for those of you who are older, like Dato' Fu, you will remember that we've been talking about biodiesel made from palm oil since the 1980s. Europe in 2006 switched to 100% biodiesel. They no longer use petroleum-based diesel. But in Malaysia, unfortunately, we've been talking about this, but we do not have a strong commitment towards using biodiesel. Unlike even Indonesia is doing a little bit better than Malaysia as far as the use of biodiesel is concerned. So we need to be quite serious about this. Part of the problem we are so vulnerable, unlike, say, Korea, is the fact that many more activities are controlled by Korean companies. In Malaysia, for example, we depend far too much on foreign direct investments. These have been important, and I'm not suggesting that we become antagonistic to them, but it's very important also to do far more to promote Malaysian corporations. Some of them will come from, most of them, if they develop, will come from small and medium enterprises. This is what has happened in Taiwan, and this is what has happened in Korea, and so on and so forth. So it's very important for us to give greater priority to the development of Malaysian corporation companies, and many of these companies and the only way to do that is by testing these companies and encouraging these companies and helping these companies, especially companies in the small and medium sector. Not in the activities which are clearly sunset industries now, sunset services now, but of course, in activities which have offer much for the future. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope this is of use and interest to all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Jomo, for the very insightful sharings. It will certainly benefit our audience here today. Looks like there's a lot of questions coming in from the audience. Let us address the first question. Okay. In mid-April, the International Monetary Fund projected that Malaysia's real GDP will grow at a rate of 9% in 2021. However, with the current economic downturn, there is extreme uncertainty around the strength of the recovery. What are your views on this, and how can we ensure that Malaysian businesses do the necessary to ensure that the rebound takes place in 2021?
I think, Corinne, this is a very interesting issue. Firstly, I think it is important for us to recognize that the IMF is trying to do its best in the dark. Nobody knows how long this recession is going to last. My own hope, in the best case scenario, is that most countries will get over the worst of it by the middle of the year, which is not very far away, a couple of weeks away. And by that time, we will be able to recover in the third quarter. So you will have a recession, because the technical definition of a recession is 2 continuous months of economic contraction, and you'll probably have that in the first quarter of 2020 and 2020 and second quarter of 2020. And so you will have a recovery simply because more enterprises will be open, not only in Malaysia but also in the rest of the world. But trying to do serious forecasting in these very, very unpredictable times is extremely hazardous. So I wouldn't take those numbers with too seriously. Nonetheless, I think it is important for us to recognize that we cannot go back to business as before. We cannot go back to business as usual. Everybody now recognizes that there will be a new normal. But what that new normal means is very, very ambiguous. Very different people think of different things when they talk about the new normal. Many people think that it's business as usual, plus physical distancing, plus a mask, and so on and so forth. Yes, maybe. But as I was trying to suggest earlier, I think we have to be much more ambitious. The situation before the COVID-19 epidemic was not wonderful. The world economy has not been really growing for more than a decade. International trade has not been expanding for a number of reasons since the 2008-2009 global financial crisis and so on. We have a situation now where too much is being done for financial interests and not enough is being done for the real economy, which is where most small and medium enterprises are to be found. So it's extremely important for us to pay far more attention to the challenges and the constraints which are currently being faced by the small and medium enterprises, and also I want to add the micro enterprises. It is also important for us to recognize that there are many people in the so-called informal sector who have basically are now without employment, who are essentially self-employed. Some of them may be doing reasonably well because there are new opportunities. Many of them are doing a lot of home delivery and other types of activities. But this is not enough for an economy worthy of its name. So we need to be far more ambitious. And what I was trying to suggest earlier is that we begin to think in terms of new areas of activity in which we encourage entrepreneurs to go into them, small and medium enterprises, and we help employees by developing the necessary skills. For example, take something like photovoltaic solar panels. The technology involved is fairly straightforward, and you need, of course, for some engineering and other technical abilities. And most importantly, you need experience and you need marketing networks, many of which currently are being provided by foreign companies. None of the major exporters are Malaysian companies. Now, what can be done to help these Malaysian companies become internationally competitive, especially the medium-sized and realistically speaking, we're talking about medium-sized enterprises producing solar panels. So these are the kinds of activities which we need to begin to promote. We need to make some tough decisions in identifying those goods and services which have hope for the future, and to basically not to pay to and to begin to find some kind of exit strategy to ease the pains of exit for those industries which are not going to go very far in the future. We take, for example, hotels. How can hotel buildings be repurposed? We find that even before this crisis, there were many shopping malls which were not doing very well. That space can be repurposed for other purposes. We saw this, for example, with the building of a special COVID-19 facility in a convention center. But there's absolutely no reason why this kind of thinking and repurposing cannot be done on a more extensive basis. And here we have a lot to learn from other countries which have done so quite successfully. But at the same time, there's a great deal of innovation which has already taken place in Malaysia, and that kind of learning from one another can be very important in going forward.
So now SMEs across all industries will need to relook at how they run their businesses under the new normal, and we hope that they thrive under these new circumstances. Moving on to our second question. Plenty of businesses are affected by Malaysian ringgit performance. How do you think the ringgit will fare amidst all the global uncertainties?
I think we are living in times of great uncertainty when it comes to exchange rate volatility, and we should be very concerned about what is likely to happen. Developing countries like Malaysia have always been at the short end of the stick. We are usually the first victims of the volatility of uncertainty. It is so easy to make generalizations about developing countries. We saw this, for example, during the Asian financial crisis. During the Asian financial crisis, for people who don't remember, actually Malaysia was not in any real serious trouble. But that didn't matter. The fact that the perception was that Malaysia was part of Southeast Asia and the Thai baht had been floated, put a lot of pressure on the other Southeast Asian currencies, which had not been adopting a strategy similar to the Bank of Thailand. And so there was a lot of pressure, and finally the various other currencies also had to float, which basically means the currency sank. And this, I think, was a very unfortunate problem. So we have to recognize that these forex markets, foreign exchange markets, are very volatile. They act on the basis of a lot of behavior which is very it is not a rational market. Okay, and we need to begin to realize that we are in a very vulnerable situation. That's why these rapid changes of government have been very problematic. Because government, the rest of the world sees political instability as problematic, and this affects the value of a currency. And then the emergence in the last few years of cryptocurrencies has encouraged a lot of people to invest in these cryptocurrencies, and there have been a lot of people who have been claiming all kinds of benefits from cryptocurrencies and so on and so forth. This has been extremely problematic. Of course, now there are some government-sponsored cryptocurrencies which are based on the real value of the national currencies. And that, of course, has very different implications from the so-called cryptocurrencies which were promoted in the last few years. I think it is very important for us to begin to think very, very carefully about these kinds of investments and speculation on forex markets, and remember that at the end of the day, as George Soros demonstrated in 1992, somebody with that amount of resources at his disposal could bring down the pound, okay, one of the top 5 currencies in the world. The pound went down because of Mr. Soros' successful attack on it. So you can imagine relatively small countries like us, you can have these kinds of manipulation, and therefore it's very important for us not to get into those kinds of vulnerable situations which cause that kind of volatility, which doesn't help anybody. Of course, a few people might profit from it, from forex profit from forex markets, but it does not help a country. In fact, I would say that a slightly weaker exchange rate right now would discourage too much imports and encourage much more exports from Malaysia. So Malaysians should not despair about the fact that the ringgit has been slightly weakened in recent times, but rather it should pay far more attention. What we should be concerned about are fundamentals, and we have seen, for example, how countries such as Norway have changed their whole strategy. They don't invest in their fossil fuels anymore. They don't invest in the source of their wealth. Rather, what they have done is that they are promoting other sources of energy for the rest of the world, especially renewable sources of energy. So we need to begin to think slightly out of the box, not in the normal kind of way of short-term profitability, but begin to think about planning for the medium term and for the long term. And that is why I'm particularly interested in Malaysia developing its full potential, particularly in the areas of renewable energies, and I mentioned already solar panels as well as biodiesel.
We certainly hope the market will stabilize soon in order for businesses to gain traction to business as usual. As time is of essence, this will be our final question. The government has been rolling out stimulus packages and the central bank has been reducing interest rates to spur consumption. In your opinion, what are the other areas of focus which could possibly take place to further drive economic growth?
I think it is important for us to recognize that the measures which were announced in March, the so-called Prihatin package, were very important in the sense that they were largely monetary measures, not fiscal measures, and they were importantly, I think, relief measures rather than stimulus measures. It's important for us to get the terminology correct. I know that many people use the terms interchangeably, but it's actually quite misleading to talk about relief measures as stimulus measures. Of course, relief measures insofar as people who have lost incomes are able to buy their food and other requirements are very, very important. But do they stimulate the economy in any significant fashion? And I think there we have to be quite to recognize that relief measures, while absolutely necessary, do not stimulate the economy all that much. Also, most of those measures, as I mentioned, were monetary measures, measures involving improving liquidity and so on and so forth, which is actually quite helpful and in certain circumstances. But simply making more liquidity available can also bring a number of problems, bring out a number of problems. If you do not have a commensurate increase in supply and you simply make more money available, what happens is invariably a degree of inflation. Prices begin to go up. And unfortunately, we already see some signs of prices going up due to the availability of excess liquidity. Yet another problem, of course, is that the vast majority of small and medium enterprises and almost none of the micro enterprises are actually benefiting from these liquidity measures. It is very difficult to get liquidity to small and medium enterprises, but especially to micro enterprises. So very most importantly, under the MCO and the CMCO, we find that many of the smallest enterprises were not allowed to reopen. So they have basically, despite the theoretical availability of liquidity measures, they have not been able to benefit from those liquidity measures, and this also has not helped. In other countries, and I hope this is not happening here, what we have seen is that some of the very rich people have used the availability of very, very low interest rates loans to actually borrow in order to buy back shares to strengthen their control of the economy. So we have seen a greater degree of wealth concentration, which has been facilitated by increased liquidity. So the big challenge really, if we want to transform a liquidity measure into a measure which will contribute to economic recovery, is to ensure that the increase in liquidity actually translates into investment in the real economy, rather than the increase then going into to financial purposes. So this is easier said than done, but it is very, very challenging and very important that this be done correct. In the past, the central bank, Bank Negara, did say, for example, a certain amount of credit must go to the manufacturing sector, certain amount of credit must go to these purposes, and so on and so forth. But for a long time, we have not done that. And this is a time when such measures are really needed. So you need a combination of monetary measures as well as other measures in order to revive the economy. And part of it will be with increasing domestic demand through government spending. And so we shouldn't take this view that some people in the business media, especially those who are working for international business media, who are promoting this view that, oh, we must be very careful about borrowing, government borrowing, and so on. If you do not borrow in these times, when are you ever going to borrow? Okay, this is the challenge. So it is true that our debt levels are reasonably high, but at the same time, it is important for us to recognize that if this borrowing goes into enhancing the productive capacities and capabilities of Malaysia, we will be better off in the medium and long term. This is extremely important. Our central bank actually has the competence to design measures to this effect, but whether or not the other players concerned will cooperate enough will be very, very important. And this is where it becomes extremely important that the small and medium enterprise sector, as well as the micro enterprises, have their voices heard. Unfortunately, they are often ignored in many of these discussions about economic policy. It is very important for them to have their voices heard, and it is and this is where the role of the media becomes so important. The role of the newspaper becomes extremely important in being able to better articulate some of the concrete problems which are being faced by the smaller business people, people who are generally not going to be on the front page of the newspaper, but whose problems are nonetheless very, very real. 97%, more than 97% of the business, of the enterprises in Malaysia are SMEs, and this we don't even begin to count micro enterprises, which are registered as businesses rather than as companies. So we have to begin to recognize the reality of our economy, and that is a very the starting point of being able to introduce policy measures, as you asked me, Corinne, the kinds of policy measures which would be effective. So the better design of policies will become very, very important, both by Bank Negara as well as the fiscal policy measures which need to be introduced. And instructions to be given to, for example, the government-linked companies to make sure that as far as possible, government-linked companies buy Malaysian products, buy Malaysian services rather than to rely on foreign services. We see, for example, that there are far too many foreign consulting companies, for example, who are running back and forth to Putrajaya, advising the government what it's supposed to do and so on and so forth, when there is a great deal of Malaysian competence. You don't need foreign companies to tell you that. You don't need international banks to tell you that. These are things which we have the capacities for, and when we don't, we should learn directly from the sources. We should learn directly from Korea. We should learn directly from Japan. We should learn directly from Vietnam, and so on and so forth. And from China, there is much which we can learn. I'm not suggesting that we close our minds in the foolish way that some international leaders are doing, but at the same time, we need to recognize that our ultimate responsibility is to revive the Malaysian economy and to put it on a better path for the future. Thank you very much for this opportunity to talk to you, and I wish you all very best and to congratulate the winners of the awards for tonight.
I agree with you, Dr. Jomo, that media plays a very integral role in being the voice of SMEs. I'm sure we all look forward to all industry players collectively spurring the economy together. Thank you once again, Dr. Jomo, for the very insightful sharing. Since SOBA's inception in 2010, many businesses have used SOBA as a health check measure to evaluate and review the state of business operations. With the growing number of submissions received each year, the award is seen as an effective measure for business owners to evaluate where they have done well while identifying gaps for goals for future improvement. Ladies and gentlemen, SOBA was established to showcase the achievements attained by outstanding Malaysian businesses. This year, in addition to recognition and coveted trophy, winners will also gain free advertising space across Star Media Group platforms. This exposure will create awareness and open doors to many business opportunities in future. We have witnessed the joy of our past SOBA winners, and we are proud to share with you some testimonial videos. Enjoy them.
My name is Dan Tai Luk, founder of My News. SOBA Entrepreneur Award that I won in 2011 was the first endorsement that I received after 15 years into my entrepreneurial journey. It has inspired me to keep going and be unstoppable. Thank you.
Hi, for me, Star Outstanding Business Awards is like an Oscar award for every SME in Malaysia. It aims to inspire and drive Malaysian companies to achieve all-round excellence. It was a great honor for Exhibition to achieve multiple awards as well as the Business of the Year for the last 4 years. I think it's like a health checkup for every SME to apply SOBA awards to evaluate their credibility. After winning the SOBA awards, our brand has been well recognized not only in Malaysia but also internationally. Our customers like to buy the products from an award-winning company. I thank SOBA Award and the STAR team for the support all these years. I wish all the Malaysian SMEs to apply SOBA awards and bring their brand to the next level. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Cole, the co-founder and the CEO from Plus Solar, the winner of SOBA Young Entrepreneur of the Year 2019. SOBA is one of the most prestigious business awards in the nation, and it does help Plus Solar to spread more positive message and awareness among the nation, especially the awareness of clean energy revolution as well as the resilient leadership sharing during the COVID-19 global crisis period. So, thanks SOBA, thank the STAR, and I will see you guys at SOBA 2020.
Hi, this is Patrick Sim from Secret Recipe. I would like to take this time to share with you on our experience with SOBA 2019. Now, besides the glamorous dinner and the awesome celebrations after, I think one of the best parts was the submission journey for us. It helped us to understand a lot more on who we are as a company, where it's not just about sales and marketing and products, but also on how we have contributed back to our community and the environment as well. So I'd like to encourage everyone to give it a shot, because sometimes the journey itself is the reward. Thank you.
Hello, this is Michael Teo from Thriving Talents, and I am the Young Entrepreneur of the Year for the SOBA 2019 Awards. Upon winning SOBA 2019, it has actually opened the path for us to impact more clients, especially during the MCO, by helping them to double their sales, to motivate their staff. I want to thank SOBA for opening this opportunity for me.
We hope this has inspired you to participate in SOBA 2020. You could be the next winner of this prestigious award. Before we end the launch, SOBA Labs will be taking off this coming August, focusing on topics that are beneficial to SMEs. These SOBA Lab webinars are complimentary, featuring past SOBA winners, business leaders and captains of the industries, giving insightful sharing. Do log on to SOBA's website, soba.com.my, to keep up to date to SOBA's activities. A big thank you to all our sponsors and partners. With your unwavering support, we believe this partnership would be beneficial to the SME community. Don't forget to log on to our website, as we are open for submissions from now till December. Thank you once again to everyone for joining us here today. Ribuan terima kasih, Mika Nandri, 非常感谢。
Introducing IMSME by CGC for SMEs. Log on to imsme.com.my, then follow 4 easy steps. First, share your financing requirements. Second, describe your business. Third, log in. Lastly, choose the best product for you. Within 2 days, you'll get a call from your preferred financier. It's that easy. Introducing IMSME by CGC for SME.
This is my...
Diverse range of sectors. Take a step towards being export ready. Get equipped with the information and skills.
This is my manager, Ela. Ela, how are we doing this month? What is our sales?
26, 28, 30,000 maybe?
Have you paid the staff their salaries?
Here you go. I'm so sorry for the delay.
Are there any supplies we need to order?
Let me check. Hold on a second. Hi. Oh, so sorry. Cash only.
Do we need a credit or debit card machine?
Yes, please.
Alright, maybe we do need a few tools to help us manage things better. So we did a bit of research and found that when you open an RHB Business Current Account and sign up for RHB Reflex, you have access to 6 amazing solutions. The Human Resource Management System will help you manage your staffing and payroll, track your daily performance and inventory levels with a cloud-based ePOS system, and accept both debit and credit card payments with a merchant terminal. You also have the option of getting a business credit card and customized business insurance to make sure everything's protected. We are also the first bank in Malaysia to integrate cloud-based accounting software with your online banking system for seamless connectivity. Now with lesser steps in making payments, RHB Reflex reconciliates all your transactions to the accounting software daily, so you can access all the information you need in one place. Take your business further with RHB SME eSolutions.
We have what it takes to go global. With a diverse range of sectors, take you there. Take a step towards being export ready. Get equipped with the information and skills you need. We'll match you with buyers worldwide and help you build connections for you to be a global champion, offering world-class products and services. Ready to set the standards and go further. Make a difference, because trade matters. The world awaits you. The time to export is now.